Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica with fulfilledandabundant.com. And today I get the amazing pleasure of talking with Elisabeth. Elisabeth is the founder and director of operations for Seafair Worldwide. So this is a very different topic to any of the other interviews I've had before, and I'm so excited to bring something totally new. So Elisabeth, what does Seafair Worldwide do?
Well, hi, Jessica. It's so awesome to be here with you. Thank you for having me on. So Seafarers Worldwide is a maritime training organization. And essentially what we do is we train people who work at sea in a number of U.S. Coast Guard certified courses. And that can mean anything from first aid CPR to cold water survival to learning how to sanitize the galley, for example.
That's awesome. So cold water survival sounds like that would actually be a good thing for anybody to know, because I want to know how to survive in the cold water if I happen to fall in. So can you tell us some basics about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually run a course that we call Castaways, and this is something that anybody can take. It's a team building course where we actually get you into the 7 steps of survival for a cold water immersion. Like let's say that you're on a boat and your boat capsizes. What do you do?
Or on a kayak.
Exactly. In a kayak, on a sailboat, what happens when you end up in the water? Especially if you're with a group of other people, because other people are really important to your survival. So we get people together in their groups and we put them in the different types of life jackets and survival suits. I don't know if you've seen the big zip up Gumby suits where you get in and it's basically, it's kind of like a dry suit, but it's designed to maintain your body's internal temperature indefinitely in cold water. And this is really useful, especially in northern waters like Alaska, for example. And they're really good for survival, but they're actually kind of fun if you don't have to survive and you can practice with them, because they keep you nice and warm and nice and dry. And so in this course, the Castaways course, where we use it for teamwork and team building, we get people in these immersion suits and you go in the water, and you're nice and warm and you're nice and dry, and then you raft up with your other teammates. And with your arms and with your legs. So you go head to toe. So you grab onto the person's leg next to you, and the person grabs onto your leg. And so you create kind of like this human raft, essentially. And so you don't lose each other in the sea. And that's really important because it creates a bigger target for someone to rescue you. Basically, when you're in the water, things happen very fast. So you want to make sure that you stay together with your team, and you want to make sure that you keep things light. So you want to make sure that your, play is a really important part of survival. You want to make sure that you can keep things maybe joking while you're in your survival situation, staying positive, talking about when you're going to get rescued, not if, and definitely no negative talk, definitely no talk about what went wrong during the accident. So once you raft up with your crew, that's the first step. It creates a bigger target for the rescuers to see you, and it makes sure that you don't lose any of your crewmates along the way. So that's the first step. The next step is to find your shelter.
Sorry, I just want to point out, it's already kind of hard to like stay positive throughout your regular day. And so I could imagine in a super stressful life and death scenario, like being stuck in Alaska waters would challenge your skills of positivity. And so I would encourage everyone to start practicing now.
Absolutely. It's a skill. It's a skill that needs to be practiced when you're not in a dangerous situation. So that's one of the reasons that we run this course, is because practicing positivity is a huge part of it. And that's also where leadership comes into play as well. Because if you have a strong leader who can kind of keep that positive conversation going, that makes a really big difference. And it makes the difference between life and death often as well.
Wow. And so do you focus on affirmative language?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. In every single one of our courses that we teach, we focus on here's how to keep the language in a positive direction. And play is actually the 7th step of the 7 steps of survival. So we really hone in on that, that positivity throughout the survival steps.
That's awesome. Okay, sorry for interrupting. So the next step after creating a human raft.
The next step after creating a human raft is that you're actually going to get into a life raft. And now this is a little trickier than it might seem, because sometimes the raft will inflate upside down. So you're going to have to turn it right side up. And the way to do that is actually to climb up on top of it and pull with all your body strength to get it to turn right side up again. And depending on the size of the raft, they come in all different sizes, from a 4-person life raft on up to 25 or 50-person life rafts. So depending on the size of it, it can get, a little tricky. So you might need more than one person to actually pull the life raft over. So once the life raft is right side up, then you need to get in the life raft. And this requires a fair amount of upper body strength. So the method of doing this is to get the strongest person in first, so that they can help everybody else get into the life raft. Exactly.
Because it's about 2 feet up. The edge of the raft is about 2 feet up off the water.
It is, yeah. And it's inflated by CO2. Right. And so it has double rings, about 2 feet up off the water. And you have to use, there's a little strap down below that you can put your feet into, but there's really nothing to help yourself up except your upper body strength. So that's why we say to put the strongest person in first, so that they can help everybody else get into the raft. And then it's really important to make sure that you get everybody in the raft, especially somebody who, might even be injured in this situation. Fortunately, with the castaways, nobody's actually injured, but we may simulate that somebody might be injured and say, hey, we want you to pretend that you're injured so that we can have the other people put you in the raft. And then we'll actually simulate, hey, now you have to do a first aid situation in the raft, because that's very different from doing a first aid situation in a calm environment.
Yeah.
It's a little bit darker, there's water around, there's a little bit of confusion, you're in your suits. How do you perform first aid in a different environment?
Wow. And so is this the equivalent to if someone wanted to go to college and become a captain for a freighter or for a cruise line or for the Marine or for the Navy? I don't know this industry, but is this the equivalent to college, or is this like a certification?
Yeah, so it's more of a certification program. There are 4-year colleges for maritime careers. Our organization is more of a certification program. So We have courses for people who are just starting out in the maritime industry, but typically the people who come to our classes already have some kind of maritime career, and they need a certification to upgrade their license or their career in some way. So for example, our Able Seaman course, when you first start out in the maritime industry, you're given the credential of an ordinary seaman. Ordinary. And that's what everybody gets on their first merchant mariner credential from the Coast Guard, is what it's called. And then once you get a minimum of 180 days at sea, then you can take a class. It's 1 week. And you can apply then to become an able seaman. That usually doubles your salary, and you get an upgrade in your career. And then you can move up in the deck department to mate, captain, so on and so forth.
I would take a 1 week course.
Yeah. It's so it's a combination of on-the-job experience plus these certification courses.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And you said anybody could take the course. And so I do have a little bit of emergency experience from being a flight attendant in the past. And so I do know a tiny bit about like ditching and surviving in the water, which can be really scary. I took the emergency preparation very seriously. So I got into my mode like, okay, people are dying, people are stupid, this person doesn't know how to swim. So I really got into it. So I do know a little bit, but all this emergency preparation, I could see how it improved my function at my job and just in normal life. It made me a lot more aware. When I go to the grocery store, I pay attention and I see people and I remember, oh, that woman changed her hair. Oh, that guy's pant, the way he's walking, he looks sad. Or so I do think emergency preparation up levels your awareness in general. And you said anybody could take it. So it sounds like it would be amazing preparation or like solidification for couples.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this is very similar to airline emergency training, especially the marine evacuation systems. That's something that we train quite frequently. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to what you do with the airlines. And yeah, so the castaways, we have actually talked to some dating organizations about doing a castaways course. And we've actually thought about marketing it as like a bachelorette party kind of thing, because it's really just a fun, like you said, a solidification kind of thing where you're learning to pay attention to your surroundings, and you're learning about really some valuable life skills for any situation, whether you're in a car in the snow or any kind of life emergency. It is specifically geared toward maritime,
right?
But these skills will apply to pretty much any emergency.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would totally sign up for like a dating event like that, because the way that somebody else reacts in an emergency situation is so ridiculously important to me.
Yes. Yeah, it really shows you a lot about a person's character, how they react when something happens.
Yeah, wow. How cool.
Thank you.
So this is available, and you're located in Anacortes, outside of Seattle, right?
Yeah, we're about halfway between Seattle and Canada, up in Washington State, Anacortes, Washington. And yeah, we actually just relocated here 2 years ago. and we're right on the waterfront, and we love this town.
Oh, how cool.
Great maritime community.
So if you live, I guess 2 hours would be okay to go do an event. So if you live in a 2-hour radius of Anacortes, look out for the social events.
Yeah.
And how did you get started in this industry? Because on appearances, I know I'm going to say something judgmental, but on appearances, you don't look like somebody that is in the sea industry.
Well, that's one of my main platforms here, is that you don't have to look like Popeye to be in the maritime industry. I actually started when I was 19, and I worked on for the UW, the University of Washington School of Oceanography, and I started washing dishes on their research vessel, the Thomas G. Thompson. And the position is called a mess attendant, and it's one of the few entry-level positions on board a ship. And I got to travel to some of the most amazing places, getting paid to wash dishes and support the galley staff and feed the crew. So I went to Hawaii for 6 months, Australia, Fiji, across the equator on the boat, which is a big deal. Went through the Panama Canal up to Alaska, and I really fell in love with the lifestyle. And so from there, I worked on other research vessels out of Woods Hole, Massachusetts, which is the organization that found the Titanic wreckage in 1985. So obviously I wasn't on that trip, but it was really cool to work on that boat and see the robot Alvin, which is the subsea submersible that actually goes down. And the trip that I was on with Alvin, they were collecting Ice Age coral from the Southern Pacific. And so I got to see a lot of different sides of the maritime industry, including this marine biology part of it that is just a really interesting side of the maritime industry. So then in 2013, I started working with a maritime training organization, very similar to the one that I have right now. And when that school closed up, my dad and I were working together, and we decided, well, we can do this. And so we started our own LLC, and we started mainly with lifeboat training courses, mostly because of the cruise industry and the Costa Concordia. There was a really terrible accident with the Costa Concordia where they sank and people died. And so the cruise ship industry really doubled down on lifeboat training, and we found our niche in training people how to use lifeboat systems. And so that was 8 years ago now, just recently, on February 4th, we celebrated our 8-year anniversary of being in business. And so that's kind of a snapshot of how I got started in all of this.
Wow, that's so cool. So you really have a comprehensive experience.
Thank you, yes.
Wow. And you love it. I can see that.
I love it. It really, it's the journey of my lifetime, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I just want to add that I know you personally. I've been in the Soulful Speakers with you for 6 months, I think. Yeah. And we've grown to be friends, and I absolutely love Elisabeth, and you're a really good person. And so I know that you weave that in to your courses. And
thank you.
One time you mentioned to me that everybody passes no matter what. So if they don't pass, what happens? And it's not like everybody passes, good job, rah, rah.
Right. Yeah, it's not like a, we guarantee you'll pass kind of thing. We have systems set up where if you don't pass, you have three chances. So we have, if you don't pass the first time, then we do a comprehensive review of the course. And a lot of times, especially in this industry, there are language barriers and educational barriers. Particularly with a lot of times people didn't go to college, and a lot of times people dropped out of school at one point or another and aren't used to being in the academic arena. And so like when you come in to take a comprehensive week of training, it's like all brand new, like, oh, I have to remember how to take a multiple choice test. And that's like dusting off parts of your brain that you're not used to using again. Mm-hmm. So we do a comprehensive review of the material and then do some kind of like test taking skills review. And we also do a lot with language barriers. So I've personally created language glossaries in, I'm looking, I have like, I think a couple dozen over there on the shelf right now from Samoan, Spanish. There's so many that I can't even think of at the moment. With a lot of maritime terminology that isn't readily available, like on Google Translate, for example. Mm-hmm. And so this is all approved by the Coast Guard for us to help people understand the material and understand how to prove that they know the material, because that's the second part of it. And just understanding and being able to do your job is the first hurdle, and then being able to document it and prove that you know the material to somebody who speaks English is the second hurdle. And so those are two key components that we really focus on to help people prove that they know what they're doing and pass the course.
Wow. Okay. Last question. I saw on your website that you have COVID-19 care packages, or there was something about working with those that might be struggling, and I thought that was really sweet. So can you talk about how you're handling that, and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah, for sure. So the maritime industry has been hit pretty hard with COVID-19. I'm sure most of us are familiar with supply chain problems. What that means is that there's actual sailors sitting on boats for months at a time, unable to get off and see their families and get paid regularly, and people who are unable to get jobs at a regular rate. And so what we've done is we've created payment plans and deferred payments until people are able to get jobs. And so we're really working with people's current financial needs in order to help them get the training they need to get on the boats. We've extended our payment structures to fit people's financial needs.
How awesome. Is there anything else before we wrap up?
I think we've pretty much covered most of the key points. I'm really excited to have done this interview with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And okay, so your company is Seafair Worldwide, and the website, can you say the website?
Yeah, the website is www.seafarersworldwide.com. That's SEAFARERS worldwide.com.
Awesome. And I'll include that typed below. So thank you everyone for joining us on this awesome conversation. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got some inspiration, and see you soon.